Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. Mostly that's Nick, but what are you going to do? But without further ado, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. So we've got... First, we're going to go in alphabetical order. Don't blame me because I don't think it's right. Blame WordPerfect, Windows, whoever owns that crap. But with that being said, I was infantry for a reason, people. And John, can you introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers at home?
Hey, I'm John Epple. I've done a few zombie books. So I like to think I know a thing or three about what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Okay.
Maybe four.
Yeah, maybe.
And this is a weird configuration, people, because I don't know if Windows actually does the alphabetical order by first name or last, because in this case, it's alphabetical in all four, first and last. So we're just going to pretend I know what I'm doing. And we're going to let Mr. Keith Hedger introduce himself next.
That's worked for us so far.
It seems to be working. I'm Keith Hedger. I write cyberpunk and whatever I've blended that particular story with, including one zombie story. And I've got a trunk collection of zombie stories somewhere. I'm involved in the zombie media forever. So,
okay. And then we've got Mr. Michael Morton.
Hi, I'm Mike Morton. I write military science fiction and fantasy. My claim to fame for zombies is I'm the executive editor of Canon Publishing, so I have helped J.F. Holmes edit his Irregular Scout Team 1 series and Shane Grease in his new Dead Storm Rising series.
All right, there's a lot of dead in that cup. So, all right, and then last but not least in our hearts, we have Mr. Paul Sparks.
Hi, guys and gals. I'm Paul Sparks. I write mainly military sci-fi. I write fantasy. Hell, I'll write anything if it's going to get me paid. It's the truth.
I mean, I can't say anything. I wrote Yeti erotica once. I'm just saying. I don't judge.
But I have done some zombie stuff, and right now I'm working on a military sci-fi space opera for a Canon Publishing's military sci-fi contest.
Outstanding. So, John, don't judge me. It was ghost work, and I had to earn some money to pay for my first edit for my sci-fi.
I'm the last person to judge anyone.
Hey, we all have our kinks.
If it's sold and they paid me 3 cents a word, so I wasn't complaining.
Hey,
I went all Charles Dickens on it. I added words that didn't need to be there just so they could have words because I was getting paid. But with that being said, now I'm supposed to tell you how I first found all of them, but all of that's still classified, and the CIA gets really weird if we start talking about their stuff. Last time we talked about it, they broke Nick's computer. It didn't work for a month. It was ugly. He made me promise never to talk about that stuff again. So,
goddamn aliens.
Yeah, so we're gonna just move right along, and we've got two of our guests have not answered the trinity that is the religion questions. The new one has not yet been answered. So, Mr. Keith Hedger, how do you take your coffee, sir, or tea?
Black. I take it black. Take it black as a zombie's heart.
Okay, so you take coffee black as a zombie's heart. And Michael Morton, coffee or tea, or how do you take it?
I will drink either one depending on how much caffeine I need and what I'm feeling like. I have been known to drink vending machine coffee with loads of cream and sugar because I'm working a midnight shift and I needed to stay awake and active. And I've been known to drink tea because I need to calm the fuck down.
That is fair. That is very fair. So I don't know. Tea doesn't really do anything for me one way or another. So I'll drink it if I'm not feeling well. Like the peppermint tea is good for your sore throat, but mostly it's coffee. Nick, what are you drinking today? I noticed your special cup.
Oh, I'm drinking my bourbon blend of coffee brand coffee.
Oh, bourbon blend. Did you add real bourbon for Drink It Like a Man? Oh, that's right. Family friendly show. I forgot. What would I do without Stabby threatening me in the background?
Why is he chewing after he drinks his coffee?
Because he made it right. All right. So the topic today, because we're doing some episodes for Spooktober. Wow, speak much. Is we're going to talk about all things zombie horde and affiliated nonsense. So first off, what do you think makes zombies such a popular trope and trend that we keep coming back to them year after year?
It's an easy monster to make and to be scared of. The fact that it's something that used to be us and is now unstoppable, kind of Terminator-ish. I think that would get a lot of people.
I think a lot of the horror tropes, broadly speaking, tend to shuffle in sequential what people, the zeitgeist wants, which is why the stories are always timeless. Because if it's not popular now, like vampires were popular for a while, then they weren't, then they were. But I've seen some academic papers that suggest that what's going on in the world and the level of security people feel in the geopolitical sense affects whether they want werewolves or vampires or zombies or monsters or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to track down the guy that wrote that paper and see if I can get him to come on. We just got to make the academic guy not so boring. Hope he doesn't listen to this episode.
Well, zombies in like TV and the movies, those like since The Walking Dead came out in 2008.
Yeah.
It's you can't control that train anymore. It's just going down the track, and it's getting more popular. We got multiple spin-offs now because, like, oh, what if there's zombies? You know, the Walking Dead crew somehow get to Europe.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. So yeah, and I think it's relatable. Like it's relatable because they used to be human. Even more so when like a loved one turns. So now you're like, do I kill it? Is there any of her or him in there? That relative? You know, it always makes for an intriguing story. It's always in every zombie story I see, it's always the humans that are the assholes to each other. You know, the zombies are kind of like a backdrop.
Where I started with zombies was actually researching the voodoo aspect of zombieism from a religious aspect. If you want to know some creepy stuff, look into the actual voodoo and Haitian versions of zombie and stuff like that. There's a lot of drugs involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I don't care. Cut me.
There are so many origin points for how did the zombies get started. It could be Walking Dead, where you kind of think it's a genetic thing, maybe, or a chemical weapon, or magic, or aliens came through, or
the original pitch for The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's like, oh, they're actually the zombies are the forward element for an alien invasion, and then they got like 6 issues in, and they're like, so when do the aliens show up? And he's like, what? He's like, the aliens. You pitched that it was an alien thing. He goes, oh man, that's just something I told you so I can get the book made.
The zombies take that I liked was John Ringo's Dark Tide Rising series.
Yeah,
it
that was some fun.
A genetically engineered virus.
Yep, because some guy thought he could do that, get everybody out of the way so he could get a date.
Yeah, but then you got the classics like Night of the Living Dead,
where
the origin didn't really matter so much as the terror.
28 days later, or 28 days where there was some kind of a chemical weapon outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, with Night of the Creeps, you've got alien slugs.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about why kind of we think zombies are popular in a general sense. Do you guys have any favorite tropes as far as zombies go? Some like to ride them fast and they'll like charge you. Some of them, they sort of shamble along. Some of them, there's a life cycle where they start off fast and as they decay, they become slower. So what is your ideal zombie?
I personally like zombies in general because even when I was a kid, I'd go to the library with my parents. Somehow I always wound up with drawing books and monster books. And here, a few decades later, I'm drawing monsters somewhat professionally now. So in the book that I'm working on, Exodus Z, I started off with like generic zombies where you can tell they had just died. So I had the withdrawn skin, or like they all look emaciated and stuff like that. But as the story's going on, I'm trying to add more detail to it to try to show the decomposition. I don't know exactly how far the writer's going with it, but as far as my part of it, I'm trying to get as nasty as I possibly can get away with.
I mean,
I
you
like
can go
that.
the Resident Evil where the zombies were, because Resident Evil is ultimately a zombie
Yeah.
game,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
the zombies are any range of anything fast, could be human, could be something else, and may have mutated way beyond whatever anybody expected.
Yeah.
And no one feels bad about, okay, we got to take the zombies out.
I usually go for the most messed up way to get rid of them possible.
Yeah.
Whether it's an axe to
So-
the head or you shoot him in the crotch, it doesn't matter to me. If it's messed up, I'm going to laugh.
So
Yeah,
Zombieland Kill of the Week?
I
Or
lost track how many zombie movies I've watched at this point, because I've done most of my professional work has been horror oriented, and most of that has been zombies. So I know I haven't seen every zombie movie, but there's not many I haven't seen at this point.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. I played many hours of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. I like just sheer application of superior firepower. You don't need a shot to the head. You just need to put enough rounds in them. And then, of course, you have the special type of, and of course, in Left 4 Dead they call it infected instead of zombies, but same result. But just I like Night of the Living Dead as a classic, but there's only one kind of zombie in that. And I think we've evolved beyond that, and I think we can continue to evolve. What is a zombie? It could be just about anything.
Yeah,
I actually think the most moving zombie portrayal I saw was in the Walking Dead TV series, and I don't remember if it was in the graphic novel, although I've owned them at one point in time and read them. But where Herschel was keeping them in the barn because he was hoping he could save them and bring them back to who they were.
Yeah.
Like, it's on the one hand it's twisted and you get it, but on the other it's like they look just like, at least in the beginning, they look just like your loved ones. So
Yeah.
I could see where you would want to tell yourself they could come back.
Yeah. Or it's like we all go, okay, they're zombies, we would do whatever. But when it's, your wife, your mom, your sister, your friend, your buddy from school or work or whatever, and it's like, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, what's the Drew Barrymore show with the zombies? Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
Where
the
it's
other
like-
point, right? The zombies can be funny too. It doesn't have to be horror.
I only watch that because she's in it.
Yeah, but watching the family get into making sure mom gets fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I hate to bring real world into this, but I've seen PCP zombies and some of these zombies from like street drugs, and they're just as scary as some of these mystical Walking Dead zombies.
I like the creativity and the variety of different types of zombies. I wasn't crazy about ones that can sprint faster than I do, because for me that goes against everything I've ever read about zombies. But visually, I'm fascinated to see how people can interpret that genre.
I had a lot of fun with the one zombie story I sold. Thank you, JR.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but it was like, I'm in a cyberpunk setting, so of course the zombies were created with an implant and some nanotechnology. And it was just,
Of course.
okay, let it roll.
Yeah, the way you could do that with technology, there's so many possibilities there too. Because at what point in time, like how far is too far before you could bring them back if you took the nanites out? And given that they're about to do actual human testing on the Neuralink, I mean, it's definitely something to think about. I thought about your story actually when that was announced. I'm like, ooh, Keith told us why that was bad.
Hey, they cleaned up the site. Sort of.
Yeah, but clean it up for the outside witnesses is not always the same thing as cleaning it up for the victims.
Fair.
So
I think they definitely touch base on all the different types of zombies in actually in Zombieland Double Tap, because they're like, hey, you have the homers, the fat slow ones, the really
Yeah.
dumb ones, all the way through the Hawkins, the really smart ones, and then you have the ninjas that are silent and deadly, and then you have the T-800s that are like retardedly fast and retardedly strong. Oh my god, that's my face.
She's a zombie killer.
But, yeah, if you ever want to know my fear of clowns, there it is right there. You can see it in the eyes. You can see it in the eyes. But I think that one kind of really shows you like all the different aspects of being, the different types of zombies that could be. Obviously, I love zombies. He has a million of my faces on the screen right now because zombies are kind of my go-to Halloween costumes. That one is also me.
Wait, really?
But
Nice.
They're easy costumes.
They really are.
This was the one that creeped me out. The zombie mom eating the baby. Oh.
That gives me Grace vibes. If you guys haven't seen the movie Grace, I suggest it, but not if you are 8 months pregnant, like I was the first time I watched it. Definitely not a good idea. But I think one of my favorite zombie movies, and it's really underrated, but it definitely, I think it says more about humans than zombies, was actually Fido.
I love that movie.
Fido.
I love
I
that
actually
movie.
hid that zombie in the background of one of my pages just to see if anyone would notice it.
I love that movie so much because they have the collar on him. They're trying to make them be more human, show their human side. But you're looking at the humans like, wow, the humans are the ones that are actual dicks here. Like,
well, you watch, if you watch, because it's been brought up, Walking Dead. They after the first few months, they had way more problems with humans than they did with zombies. Really.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just
Now, granted, I
society
got
in
an
general.
opinion about Sheriff Rick too.
I mean, the humans are always going to be almost worse than the zombies in a lot of aspects.
Well, and if you put people in a
humans are always
situation
worse than
where
the monsters.
literally
It's a common
you're
trope.
that desperate,
I mean, it's a common trope in a lot of horror fiction that the humans are worse than the monsters. Because that underlying a trope is who the real monsters are is a common theme.
But the perfect example is when COVID lockdown first started. I was considered essential. I worked for Home Depot. We had to be there every single day. And I had been pushed, punched, and kicked because we were out of toilet paper.
at Home Depot.
At Home Depot.
Which is always the first place I think of for toilet paper, really.
There was a Target across the street, I'm just saying. But, like, I was just like, the day that I got pushed into the rack, I got shoved back and I kind of stood myself back up and I was like, yeah, I don't get paid enough for this. No. And I walked away. My manager called me and was like, did you walk away from a customer? I was like, pull camera. Pull camera. You're lucky I walked away. And they did. They pulled camera and it's blatant. I'm like, we have no more. And I have my hands up like this. I'm like, we have no more toilet paper. There is no back. We have no back. We have it up. We put everything up. We don't put anything in the back. I'm like, we have no more. And you see her hands just, and I went back into the racking. And from that moment on, after that, I was like, humanity sucks. I'll take the zombies.
There's actually a funny picture about the zombie is a meme, and it says the zombie apocalypse is already here, and it's a bunch of people walking forward, staring mindlessly at their cell phones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of allegorical almost, the zombie thing. So do you prefer, like, when zombies, so for instance, in Walking Dead, everybody, whether they're bit or not, seems to come back as a zombie. Others, they had to die in a certain way, bit by the zombie, whatever. Do you have a preference? And we'll go back to you, John. You've been a little quiet. What is your favorite depiction of zombies in that respect, of the way they are turned?
I've always operated under the premise that if you get bit, then sorry about your luck. And it may be you may last a little longer than others, but you're going to turn.
Unless you chop your arm off like in World War Z.
Yeah.
But that's got to be quick.
Yeah, you got to do it in less than 12 seconds. Like, you can't even think
no.
about the pain.
That's about it. But outside of that, yeah, you're pretty much screwed.
What about a
For
tourniquet?
me,
I
as
think
long
you
as
can
the
turn it on.
story is consistent about the turn, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Or how it works.
Yeah, it all depends on how you become a zombie in the first place. So if the bite doesn't matter, if it's if it's radiation or whatever, then yeah, it's they can come back even after they're been torn apart or whatever. I forget the name of the movie, but the zombies were created because of a radioactive spill or whatever. And you could tear them apart into pieces, and like the hands would still come after you, and the heads and things like that.
I think that was Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
The remake.
Return of the Living Dead.
There you go.
Mr. Nick is saying.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite way that you've seen visually them depicted? So, I guess this is more of a movie in a graphic novel, art, comic, whatever. Do you have a favorite look for a zombie?
Rotting and terrifying.
Pretty much.
Yeah, the more desiccated and rotting, the better, just because that is what you suspect, and that's what you think of when you see a zombie, is a corpse that is barely there, or you're just a dried husk of burnt or dried leather.
Yeah.
I think that's the scariest part of the zombie genre is, like, you have to face your own mortality more than, vampires, where you get to live forever if you get attacked, or werewolves, or any of the other ones. You got to watch human flesh decay and still come after you. And, like, that's scary as shit.
And it's relentless.
Yeah.
Unless you're watching, Army of Darkness, in which case the zombies are kind of hilarious.
It's hilarious. the Deadites.
Oh, they're so much fun.
Amber Heard at the very beginning of Zombieland. The broken leg, the tongue, just all of it. She's still running, even though her leg bone is hanging out of her leg. And you're just sitting there like...
Yeah, oddly enough, that's my favorite role of hers.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but the dark... I know I said it before with John Ringo's Dark Tide Rising, but the way they had the zombies and portrayed the zombies were, I think, some of my favorite ways of doing it, because it was different. It wasn't the usual zombies, and they came at you, and they would slumber and go into torpor to survive. And it was, for zombies, I mean, it was very well done, and it was a different way of looking at them than what everything else was done. Plus, Faith and Sophia were just kick ass. Yeah.
See, and for me, the rotting zombie is less scary than the non-rotting zombie. Because the rotting zombie, in my mind, it's dead already. Now it's moving, but it's dead already, which means you got killed once, I can kill it again. But the zombie that's infected, or whatever you want to call it, I forget which movie it was. I think it was 28 Days or 28 Days Later, where they have the jump scare, where the guy comes up on somebody and he turns around and his eyes are just crazed and his mouth is full of blood because he's been feasting on the corpse in front of him. That would freak me out, because then you're like, holy shit, is he just mad? Like, crazy mad? Or is he actually really a zombie? And now you get into the unknown factor of, am I shooting a human that's just flipped out? Or is this actually a zombie that's after me?
I wouldn't care.
I think that was why. That was why the bath salt thing that was happening in Florida a couple of years ago was so scary. Because people were flipping out. I mean, they were getting a taste of what that would look like, and they knew the dude was freaking nuts. I mean, clearly you're nuts if you're huffing bath salts, but on the other hand, you got to deal with what they're doing in front of you too.
So
when I
get bored in the barracks.
When I was in college, I worked security on campus, and you had to be specially trained to work in the hospital because of people like that, where if they were either misdiagnosed or it took a while for the drugs to kick in, you had to be ready to identify the fact that this was not your normal person who's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
they were going to be way out of hand.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the other end of it is on the we use magic to animate the dead or magic to create the zombies. That can be a lot of fun because they don't decay; they just are what they are.
Yeah, yeah, and in some cases they've made that more mainstream. Like League of Legends has a character that's one of their special powers is they can bring forth a whole bunch of skeletons. But necromancy, right? You know, it's hard to raise a family. Necromancer, what?
It's not hard if they're buried close enough together.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other hand, there's the movie Warm Bodies, zombie movie.
Yeah.
With a romance storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And well done. They did a really good job with it. I had a lot of fun watching it. So
yeah, I liked it too.
What was it? They fell in love. They turned back human or some stuff.
Eventually, something happened. And he kind of returned to humanity.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was a weird movie, but it was a nice new take on the zombie trope.
Okay, from a storytelling point of view, there was an internal logic to what happened, and they stuck with it, so it wasn't terrible. But
that guy scared me.
That dude is terrifying.
He would be terrifying if he was a zombie or not.
Yeah.
What Resident Evil was that in?
That one was
for the games. I think it was 2 or 3.
What was that? That was Resident Evil 3.
Okay.
And then
that guy's an asshole.
He's hard to kill.
Oh, dude! I almost quit video games because of that freaking character. Got so mad.
Scared you as a kid.
Oh, he messed me up.
I don't know if he's a zombie though. He's more of like a paranormal.
No, he was. He
dickhead.
was in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
He had extra of the.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Triangle Head from Silent Hill. I was about to
No.
I'm like, no, Ryan Gone.
That's from well, he was in Afterlife, but he was also.
Oh yeah, that guy's a
He was the
too.
Resident Evil's version of Triangle Head.
Yeah, like the first time you fight him, he's a pain in the ass, and then when he comes back again, then he gets weaker, and I'm like, no, just keep that same energy, bro.
But zombies have caught such a thing with everybody that, we have TV shows, movies. I shot a link into the group for a role-playing game called All Flesh Must Be Eaten. That's all zombie survival horror.
Oh, yeah.
With 11 different sources of zombies, 11 different what they call dead worlds or sources of zombies. And I've run ultra marathons in Sonoya, Georgia, where they filmed The Walking Dead because the race club director loved Walking Dead. So they did ultra marathons through that area, places where they shot scenes.
Yeah. There have been from time to time not abandoned buildings, but like older buildings that a group has taken over, and you go in with airsoft guns and you can play Kill the Zombies.
Yep.
They've actually used
they get mad every time I pull a knife out.
They've used the zombie motif to get people aware, because it's a fun way to do it, about the need for national emergency preparedness. So it's like the zombie preparedness guide, and suddenly everyone's having fun, not realizing that what works for a zombie outbreak will work for most national emergencies, except for you can't shoot random people because, laws.
That is
it was a zombie apocalypse. I heard it on the radio.
I took over my phone.
All right. Speaking of zombie stories, we're going to play this footage from the lovely commercial for that zombie anthology Keith mentioned.
The government underestimated the outbreak. The best medicines couldn't stop it. Now, the dead are walking the streets, and they're hungry. Zombie Patient Zero is 9 tales of flesh-ripping, brain-splattering mayhem from Bayonet Books, the boldest name in action and horror anthologies. From deep space to luxury resorts, nowhere is safe. Zip up your hazmat suit and dare to find out how it all went wrong. Zombie Patient Zero, from the deranged minds that brought you Contact This and Storming Area 51. Pick up your copy today in paperback or Kindle.
Gallagher did that commercial, and he's like, here's just a sample of what you can send the person to make your professional commercial. I'm like, dude, you nailed it. We're using this one.
I just want to say I'm proud to be in that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to write. Nick, was that your second actual literary credit? Because I know you've done a bunch of comics, but that was your second actual short story, right?
Third.
Okay, I know you did the
Sleigh Bell Ring.
Right.
The one where I wrote about space Romans. What book was that in?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but you're right. So this is the third one. Okay. We'll look it up later. But so there's lots you can do with zombies, and we went, and that anthology was a good sort of scattershot of all the options, everything from nano steampunk to alien bugs on alien planets to traditional zombie horror. It was all over the place because there's just so much room for zombie to work. So I have seen some where they portray winter as the ultimate killer of zombies because they can't move. So what is your take on how the weather might affect zombification?
I could see how it would slow them down, but I still go with the tried and true zombie's not dead until you put one in his head.
Yeah, again, I think it depends on how they became a zombie. If it's magic, probably not going to affect them. Radiation, you could go either way with that. Disease, then probably environmental extremes are going to take them out, whether it's extreme cold or extreme heat.
Yeah.
I would think more extreme cold than extreme heat, because if it's extreme heat, it almost have to be like flames, whereas to burn the body, whereas cold.
You dehydrate them.
Turn them into
they still need water.
Right, but even they could survive on very little amounts of water.
Yeah. I could see where they would decay slower in heat.
But whereas with a cold, once you start freezing that tissue and you start freezing that stuff, no matter how they are, they're not going to be able to move, and you're going to get the skin dying and freezing off.
Unless
organs
the skin's
or whatever,
already
even
dead.
the brain. If the brain freezes, there's nothing you can do, and the brain is mostly water. So you get it cold enough, you're going to start getting ice crystals in the brain, and it's going to act like knives from inside.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how I turn, whether it's magic or a virus. You put me in the cold, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to bitch out.
So, Nick, you're just saying that the zombie thing isn't really a factor there. It's just cold.
Yeah, it's just cold. No.
Okay.
Now, if I somehow get a hold of a whoopee, y'all dead.
Oh, then then we're all good. A whoopee.
I've got one on a chair right there.
I've got one right over here.
I've got one on my bed.
Under my bed.
I've got one upstairs in my closet too.
That was my comforter for years.
Yeah, I got a whoopee.
Mine's in my closet as well.
Yeah,
you never leave the whoopee behind.
Now my cats like to sleep on it on my bed.
So if you really want to touch base on weather with zombies, there's two that really kind of show how the weather, affects them. In Resident Evil, you see the zombies in and around Las Vegas. So the ones that are dropped there, they're still able to run, attack, eat, everything else. But the ones that are wandering out in the desert, they're a bit slower. They're not really moving much. I believe the gas attendant's name was Ted.
Yeah, I think
and he was just sitting there like, he was an easy target. But in The Last of Us, everybody's heading for Montana and up there into the ice and in the snow, and they're finding dead zombie bodies all along the way, just frozen. So that gives you both extremes of, the heat versus the cold and how it would affect a zombie, minus the ones that are just being dropped in there to attack people.
Yeah, well, my question would, if I'm going in the cold and I'm seeing the zombies inert, it's like, are they dead or hibernating?
Well,
Put
even
two
if
in the
they're
head anyway.
Yeah, did you guys see where
always.
they had like zombies in The Walking Dead that had like hung themselves because they didn't want to become zombies, and now they're hanging as zombies? Do you like that kind of stuff in the world to add ambiance to it, or do you think it's just unnecessarily excessive?
It depends on who your target audience is. For the Walking Dead's audience, yeah, that actually was really effective. These people are literally trying to stop from becoming a zombie.
Yeah, and take themselves off the board one way or the other.
And find out the way they picked didn't work.
I think horror should be scary, so stuff like
Yeah.
that I think should be in a horror movie or show.
Okay, so what do you think makes zombies the most scary in your opinion, John?
Everything about them, actually. I mean, their appearance, what they're capable of doing, what they're there to do. There's nothing about them that I don't think would be terrifying if they were real. But at the same time, I'm thoroughly fascinated, so I think something's wrong with me.
I mean, I find it fascinating too. I don't know. I think this is one where for me, it works better for all I've written zombie story. I think this one works better in a visual medium because you can see that added layer of like the rotten flesh, and you can almost smell the scene when they set it right. And I think that just adds something because with zombies, this part of the scariness is all of the senses in totality.
Mm-hmm.
So have you drawn zombies, Nick?
On occasion.
I mean, like as an actual comic or just one-offs?
Just one-offs. I got commissioned a couple of times to draw zombies. My favorite one is someone wanted me to draw a zombie operator. So he was all kitted up, and there was like just pieces exposed. And let me see if I can find that. But yeah, I've drawn maybe a handful of stuff. It's not really my area of expertise. I do capes and cowls, which John loves. He loves the capes that he tells me every time he has to draw one.
But, one of the things that I think reason why zombies are so scary and reach down to that visceral level is because they're the ultimate pursuit predator. They never sleep. They don't stop. They will keep coming after you day or night, rain, sleet, snow. And the only way to deal with them is to kill them. And we still have that deep ingrained on a genetic level fear of the thing that walks in the night from the time when we were hunters and gatherers roaming Neolithic and the Neolithic eras.
So that makes me think. Go ahead.
So I think that's why, from a cultural anthropological way, that zombies stoke that fear in us is because it touches that deeper, baser fear of the dark, the unknown, and that pursuit predator.
That uncanny valley thing, where
So for sorry, Keith.
No problem.
Yeah, so zombies, you think the ultimate pursuit if you're going trying to move around in the environment and you need to sleep, you think, okay, well, I can go into a tree and I get above them because zombies tend not to climb, right? But that only works if zombies are only humans. Have you seen it done where the zombies are more than humans, the other animals turn?
I've seen tiger zombies.
Yeah.
I've seen Dobermans.
Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the.
Yeah.
What are those magicians' name? All their animals got.
Oh
infected.
Yeah. I believe in
Of course, I also think like the Mummy, Frankenstein to a degree, and like Jason Voorhees are different types of zombies as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think they're so visually interesting. And in my that book I did with Second Sight Studios, I did Mississippi Zombie. I contributed a couple stories to that, and one of those I had done the Resident Evil thing where I turned dogs into zombies too.
Yeah, I think that going back to drawing zombies portrayed in the visual medium, I think unlike say werewolves or vampires, zombies aren't the creature that hides in the dark that's looking to ambush you. As you noted, John, they're pursuit predators. They're the ones that if you see a zombie, right, that's the fear is where there's one, there's more. It's not that you worry about being ambushed out of the shadows as much as alerting more zombies and then they come after you.
When the herd.
The herd, like
I've definitely looked at them as like pack animals.
Yeah. For me, it's okay if the light, if it's broad daylight, I can tell it's a zombie. It's shambling. Great, no problem. There's a herd. Okay, we'll do this quietly. We'll figure it out. Whatever. But it's like when you start talking about you're still moving and it's after it's getting darker and it's a human shaped thing over there. I don't know how many they are. I don't know whether it's human or zombie. I don't know whether it's a threat or not. What's the right answer here?
So I love watching like off the beaten track movies. I will let Nick get rid of all of our subscriptions except for Shudder because that is my horror Netflix. And I came across these two. They are so cheesy, but at the same time, they kind of make you think like, what would happen if? And one of them was called Zombies. And it was all of the animals in the zoo became zombies. The lion was absolutely terrifying. But then the follow-up to that one was called, and I keep a list of all my horror movies, it was called Aquarium of the Dead. And all of the aquarium animals became zombies.
That's just not even right.
And watching this lady get swapped by a zombie octopus.
I was just going to say that would be terrifying, a zombie octopus.
I've seen anime like that.
How does a zombie aquatic thing work?
That's called hentai.
Exactly.
You beat me by
Exactly.
I'm trying to figure out how. Yeah, but but if the zombie is in the water and wouldn't the current help break it
have
down?
To bite it.
Yeah, but wouldn't the current help break it apart so it wouldn't last as long?
Jay, you're reading way too
In
much.
Aquarium of the Dead, so in Zombie, they kind of made it was like in the water that they used to make the medicine that was supposed to help these animals that were being healed. In the second one, which was Aquarium of the Dead, they got the leftover medicine that was supposed to be destroyed, but it didn't get destroyed. It got used on the aquarium animals. It was the whole thing. Like I said, off the beaten path, but it's so stupid it's funny.
That makes as much sense as piranhas attacking people in a North American river.
There's a Piranha 3D movie where they were released from an underground that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know the current. I'm just trying to picture a zombie which is barely shambling and how that's like. I just can't wrap my head around the aquatic zombie, but it's definitely different. I've never heard of one of those before, so props to them for that.
I think a zombie killer whale would be terrifying.
Yeah.
But I mean,
if you're in the water.
If you're in the water, just don't be in the water. Don't go to SeaWorld that week.
Some dumbass would find their way, fall in the water somehow.
Yeah.
You're gonna get some redneck with a beer. He's gonna be like, "Hey, y'all, watch this."
Yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Sitting right here.
Hold my beer.
So So we've talked about like the kind of the horror element, but we haven't delved into the other genres where zombies sometimes exist. So do you think it works as well if you put it in a comedy or a romance or any other setting?
Well, have you read the Marvel zombie series?
Oh yeah.
No.
Try not to.
That is terrifying.
It's actually really good, John.
Yeah, it is really good, and it's absolutely terrifying and depressing as you see all your favorite heroes become the zombies, but with full faculties.
Isn't that the one where Deadpool killed them all?
No.
No, that's
that was-
Deadpool.
I
Is the Marvel
do
Universe.
like zombie stories where they write it in a way that you think like, man, that could possibly happen. Those are the ones that really get me.
Okay.
Back on. Turn your mic back on.
It's on. Jesus.
Zombie comedies. It's your moment. It's your time to shine.
Oh yeah. The dead don't die.
You got to tell us,
Oh.
Nick, not Stabby. You got to look at us. Look at us.
Well, I'm just confirming that's the movie that she's trying to put in my brain.
He's
But
been
yeah,
waiting for this moment.
I almost did it like a couple episodes ago. One of the other horror ones. I was like, because there's a scene in that movie and it has Adam Driver and Bill Murray in it. And it's an awesome movie.
they're the cops?
It's a self-aware zombie movie.
Yeah.
Like they know they're in a movie. Like
They didn't even
they're
try to
riding in the
hide it.
car and it's like they have the theme song constantly playing and Bill Murray's like, this song seems very familiar. Like I know it from somewhere. He's like, and Adam Driver turns to him, just serious, normal conversation. Like, yeah, it's the theme song. But then they go to their first crime scene where the zombies start attacking, and Bill Murray's like, "Well, what do you think it is?" He goes, "You want to know what I think?" He's like, "Yeah, I do." And he goes, "I'm thinking zombies. You know, the undead, ghouls." And the way he says ghouls, just I will crack up for at least 20
What
minutes.
movie is this?
The Dead Don't Die.
What about Zombieland? That's another good comedy.
That is
Yeah,
also
love-
another good one. That's
Love both of those.
We can't have a zombie one without talking about Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the
that
Dead.
was
Yep.
I think that was the
Brilliant
first
movie.
zombie.
Get to the
comedy.
Winchester.
Yeah, have a pint. Wait for this whole thing to blow over.
Yep.
And they got
why
super
didn't you tell
serious.
us? Mom, why didn't you tell us? I didn't want to be a bother.
Didn't want to be a bother, darling. That just
Does
fits
it
like
sound
British
better in a
humor, though.
British accent?
Cooties.
Oh yeah, that is a zombie movie, and it's about a-hole kids, and I'm for it.
What is it about? Go on.
Okay, so it's contaminated chicken nuggets. that was
Told you all
the
that processed food's bad for you.
that
man.
was the spreader right there. It was contaminated chicken nuggets, and the movie starts off filming the process of chicken nuggets being made. But you see, like this little black goo was in some of the meat before they start processing it. And for those of you don't know how a chicken nugget is made, it's just they take whole chickens and throw them in a blender. That's it.
And then press
And then
form them.
Yeah, then they flash form them, they batter them, and all that stuff. So, and
It's not chicken, it's chicken goo.
I like it.
It only affects
Oh,
prepubescent children.
prepubescent children. So,
I think I've
Oh,
seen
God.
this one.
oh, it's
It
hilarious.
was
It's got
pretty effed
Elijah
up.
Wood in it.
Yeah. I've seen this
Yeah.
one.
A couple other couple big names are in there too. They just escaped me off the top of my head. But yeah, it's hilarious because it's the last day of school, and then shit just hits the fan after lunch. You know,
That sounds like it'd be
Hey,
so
at least they
much
got
fun.
lunch.
Yeah.
they got
Last
lunch,
meal.
At
They
least
got
they
the
got
last meal.
chicken.
last meal. For those that haven't been through puberty, yeah. Everyone else was like, "Oh, am I going to get it because I'm a kid?" And they're like, "Have you started your period?" And you can't ask that. He's like, "It's relevant to what's going on right now. I could totally ask it."
Jack McBayer, Rainn Wilson, Elijah Wood,
Oh, yeah, Rainn
Alison
Wilson, that's
Pill, Lee Wallen.
Yeah, it's got a good cast. If you haven't seen Cooties, check it out.
Another good one is Pride and Prejudice in Zombies was another good one. It
Oh,
made Jane
my God,
Austen
that's so
watchable.
funny.
Yeah,
I
I
laughed
mean,
so hard.
That's another. I was
I
going to mention
actually
it
read
earlier.
that version.
Go ahead,
How about
Keith.
The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
What is that study?
The Scout's Guide
Oh, to the zombie
to the
apocalypse.
Zombie Apocalypse.
That's another good one.
'Cause the
Yeah.
Boy Scouts have to save the day.
Yeah, Boy Scouts saved the day.
All right. Keith, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies is the only reason I ever read Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
The
I had to read
only
it in
way I
college.
got through
but-
that thing.
Uh,
On the
yeah,
other
it's
hand, I
bad.
was in an Iron Man that the host hotel was also sharing a Jane Austen convention.
Oh.
That's just not the normal mix of people.
No, it is not. Okay, Sparks, you were weighing in as well. So, sorry, dear listener. Some of us are on a lag a little bit because of the weather, inclement weather. So just bear with us. We're trying not to talk over each other.
I was gonna say, really, a lot of like modern day stuff has been zombified. Add zombie to it, and you're gonna do well. Abraham Lincoln, Zombie Hunter, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. There was a Marvel comic, I think, King Arthur and the Dead Knights or something, Mystical Knights or something like that. I don't know if it was Marvel, but I remember hearing about a comic with that. It's just you add zombies to anything now, and it's gonna sell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Freaks of nature.
I'm doing a zombie book where they're fighting angels. So I'm trying to figure out how to make angels look like zombies.
Ooh.
Oh, go
And
on.
that
What are you
actually-
thinking?
And that actually,
going, John.
considering the aspect of the purity. I mean, angels are supposed to be pure beings of light, so to speak, but yet can they actually get infected with the zombie virus?
You leave it up to me, they can.
Tell us more. We desire to know more.
Nick's gonna find out. He ordered a copy.
Yeah.
Give us the Reader's Digest, and then we'll link to it in the show notes.
We're doing a friend of mine and I are doing a book called Exodus Z. Yeah, he wrote the book, and he's letting me do all the visuals. And then if I have anything inappropriately funny to add to it, he's let me put stuff in there. And sometimes I just said screw it, and I hid stuff just to see if anyone would notice.
The Easter eggs are hilarious, and I'm writing a compliment book to it that exposes all the damn Easter eggs because some of them are hard to find.
And then
So
we're doing a book that's Tales of the Collective. We're doing a follow-up story to the one issue we've done on Exodus Z. It's going to add a little bit more to it, and then we're going to start doing issue 2 within the next week or two, I think. So there'll definitely be more to come, and I'm fairly sure my buddy's name is Jorge. I'm pretty sure we're going to do it where you can buy the previous issue as well to go with whatever number we're on. It's going to be at least a 3-issue arc, unless we can talk him into doing more.
Okay, that definitely sounds intriguing. So if you guys could, I mean, we're at an hour. We're going to try to do better at staying on target. We probably won't, but at least we won't do 3 hours like we did with Trip. But with that being said, if you guys could live in the zombie apocalypse, would you do it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
Hell yeah.
list.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
a list.
me too.
Zombie or not, they're yep.
A list.
I got a list.
I already don't like most people anyway, so that would just make it that much better for me.
Okay, JR,
Our
you
house
got a
was
crowd?
supposed to be- go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stabby.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you have a crowd here that's got our hardest problem would be pretending we weren't having the time of our lives.
Absolutely.
So
Oh, yeah.
much fun.
Yeah.
Like zombies everywhere. The solution is kill the zombies. I'm in.
I get to shoot humanoids and not go to jail for it. Get me
I would
too.
be like, I get to
Practice.
F stuff up and not get in trouble for it. That's where my
How
explanation would end.
You know, this would be
Do we
the
have-
perfect excuse to make your own killdozer.
Just
Wait, my own what?
Your own
I mean,
killdozer.
do we? Is there a limit on how creative we can get?
Not at all.
Your
Yeah,
imagination.
killdozer at work, sort of.
Zombie kill of the day.
Mhm.
I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
I would deliberately see how I would top the last one I killed.
See, I would much rather prefer to be in an alien invasion scenario, because then after you kill the aliens, you can steal their technology, and then you can go to the stars. So the zombie apocalypse, what do you have when you kill all the zombies? Now you're just
Happiness.
disappointed. No, you're
Whenever I
disappointed
can-
because you got nothing left to kill.
My hands, feet,
Far
knees,
fewer annoying
elbows, whatever I can
people.
pick up or slam them into.
Our house was perfectly chosen. We live on the second story behind an iron rod gate. and all of our windows have vantage points to the streets.
Maybe feng shui is onto something there. Is it feng shui, however you say it? Maybe they were just planning for the zombies.
Just saying.
Oh yeah, we got a great kill sack lined up.
Oh yeah.
Fatal funnel and everything. Got the stairs
Oh,
to slow them down.
Interlocking fields of fire. Oh.
Yeah. I'm just thinking all the tannerite we could have fun playing with, blowing stuff up.
I would giggle being able to use that stuff.
So, okay, here's something that nobody ever talks about. In the zombie apocalypse, and in most apocalypse, the world stops. So how do you handle things like the nuclear power plants and the Hoover Dam that are no longer being manned and everything falling apart? Because now the whole world potentially radioactive in large parts. And then you've got mutated zombies.
Well,
Kill them too.
Pretty much.
Well, with the nuke plants, they'll auto scram if it gets to a certain point, and they'll shut down on their own. And a lot of refineries have built-in safeguards that where if it gets to a certain level, pressure, whatever, they'll automatically go into shutdown.
Hoover
Okay.
Dam automatically backs any water up into Lake Mead, which, if you don't know this already, is at its lowest point because they're systematically draining it due to all of the bodies that they keep finding.
I'm just saying they went swimming with the fishies. All right, the mob was handling business.
Yeah, there's a reason
So-
the fishery got shut down.
So do you like when the zombie apocalypse type stories where it's one man against the entirety of the apocalypse sort of doing his own thing? Or do you prefer to see like where they band together HOA style like Walking Dead did, Shaun of the Living Dead did it with the bar? Like which do you prefer, the lone wolf or the pack?
Pack.
Yeah, you're gonna have to group up if you're gonna survive the zombie apocalypse. But
Yeah.
if the story is well told,
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I mean, I can.
Yeah, I definitely think the pack. You got to band together. You got to survive. Now, if you're telling the lone survivor, like, the first week or so of the zombie apocalypse, how she's getting away from the zombies and eventually makes their way to a safe place where there are other survivors. But yeah, as pointed out earlier, you got to sleep sometime.
Yeah. So you need somebody on watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need a
Do you
list
think-
of rules.
Do you think there are any places that are ideal to hole up? Some places they barricaded neighborhoods. I've seen it where they occupied jails or military installations, although not all military installations are designed at that level of fortification.
Yeah.
Because they were never intended to be defensible.
Right.
It depends on how long you're going to be there, because unless you've got a place to grow food, so a nice, good roof with good sunlight, you're not going to be able to stay there forever.
Yeah, and that's the other thing people forget. Canned goods, generally speaking, have about a 5-year shelf life. If you canned food yourself in the mason jars, that's 5 to 15, depending. Some of the shelf-stable stuff is 25, but at a minimum, you're one generation away from starvation, and that's assuming you find enough to keep you going and that the hordes haven't destroyed it already. So it's definitely something, and the gas goes bad too, I think, after a while.
Water gets
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
gas
turns,
will go
it
bad.
turns to jelly if it sits still too long.
So the idea that they're just going to keep driving cars 20 years later, like, unless somebody's digging that oil.
Well, it's why I watching like Walking Dead, I had issues with it because one, Sheriff Rick was kind of an idiot. As you watch him make his decision process through that whole series, where it's like, you just made the dumbest possible choice here. But the other end is they also did get into things like, we have secured a community, we secured an area, and we are focusing on growing food and finding animals to keep providing protein and all the rest of it. So they got a lot of stuff right. It was just I'd get annoyed with a character.
Yeah. So what's the most annoying thing in zombie fiction that you guys see? Mike, you've been silent. We'll let you go first.
The panicky survivor several days later. Quite frankly, if you can't make good decisions early on when everything is happening, you're dead. So that person would not be around 3 or 4 days later to cause problems for the survivors who actually know or are able to respond to a situation like that. So yeah, it's I think what you would run into is more the power struggles that you see between the alpha type people, each of whom thinks they know what's the best way to survive, and just get rid of those panicky people later on.
Yeah, the other one is some of the kids that are annoying that I'm just like, I get kids are innocent, but kids that grow, experience hardship, they quickly change. They're not like the innocent little kids you expect running around Toys R Us today. So the idea that you have kids still acting like nothing has happened, it just never struck me as realistic. I've met kids in third world countries. They don't behave like that. They're basically little mini adults.
Yeah. They grow up fast.
Yeah. And they don't really have a choice because if they don't, they die. So the sheriff's kid in Walking Dead, like in the beginning, he was in the Too Stupid to Live. Yeah, he was too stupid to live for the longest time.
Yeah.
I am not going to lie. My kid would not survive.
No, because I'm selling with the first group we meet.
No, even before that,
you could be a great dad one day, Nick.
He's the person that I constantly tell him, I'm like, dude, don't put your face up against the glass. Like, if you don't know who's outside, your face should not be up against the glass. He'd be the first person to be like, and then, because he don't listen.
Oh, if you had a panel van that said Free Marvel Legends, he wouldn't even ask. He'd just hop right into it. Where I'm more like, show me the toys first.
I'm over like, get away from the window, both of you.
The van says
So what did you guys think? Whoever was speaking, go.
I was going to say, if the van says free ammo or free beer, I'm probably lost, guys.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. If it's an IPA, I don't want it.
Yeah, IPA is nasty. That's just like hipsters say they like it, but no one really does. It was made that way to make water in India drinkable. It was not meant to taste good, people. And it never figured out how to taste good.
It's what I imagine.
JR, I'm drinking Okay, guys, I'm drinking an Alaskan Brewery's Hazy Bay Juicy IPA right now.
You can enjoy it all you want.
Okay,
usually real beer for the rest of us.
Bastards, good.
All right, so the zombie apocalypse breaks out right now, and you realize shit's getting real. Do you raid the local guard armory? Do you hit the police station, the sporting goods store? Where's your first raid for equipment?
My parents' house. They have 2 refrigerators and freezers full of food, plus a whole section of the basement stocked with canned goods and other stuff. I'm going there first.
Okay. What about you, Keith?
We got horse stables.
Okay, I live in Iowa, so we've already got a basement with a freezer stocked and food down there, and yeah, I'm good. I can hold up for a little bit and then wait for things to calm down a little bit.
We're going counterclockwise, so Nick, where are you going first?
First, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to not to work, but to raid the armory. And then I'm going to grab the war wagon and a couple of the horses from the stables from Horse Patrol, and then I'm going to start working my way northeast.
Okay. All right, Paul, you're next. Where are you going?
Hospital or urgent care clinic.
Okay, go on.
People don't realize with a hospital, you're still going to have cuts. You're still going to have infections from septic shock or from just everyday injuries. You're going to need antibiotics. You're going to need bandages. You're going to need tropical creams. Don't get any of the narcotic pain meds. Let the junkies have those. Get the Tylenols. Get the suture kits. Stuff like that. Because that will keep you alive just as much as having food and ammo and so on.
Yeah, that's one thing that zombie or the apocalypse in general get wrong. Like the guys raid the pharmacy and they always seem to know exactly what they want, and it happens to be there. Like they're going to get there, it's going to be raided. Half the pills are going to be on the floor. No one's going to have a clue what each pill is, and you're just going to have to grab a handful and hope for the best.
Yeah.
I have an alibi.
All right.
Alibi fire on the line. Okay. That's great. Getting medicine, people gathering food. And it reminds me of when Y2K was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was loading weapons and ammo. My neighbor was loading food. And he goes, Nick, what are you doing loading weapons? Ammo and weapons, man. I'm like, don't you stock up food? And I'm like, do you? I see that you're stocking up on food. Do you have any weapons? And he goes, nope. And I'm like, I have food. And his face went white. And I'm like, yeah, I will kill you for a number 7.
So Warlord Garber. Okay, I can see it.
Negan did nothing wrong.
All right, John, where are you hitting first when the zombie apocalypse breaks out?
I'm gonna hold back unless somebody attacks me and take whatever their weapons they have.
So you're gonna wait it out, ride it out.
Inevitably, someone is gonna lose their damn mind, and they're gonna feel entitled to something you have, and they're gonna try to take it from you, and they're not gonna like the reaction they get.
John, because you're out in Florida, you work west, I'll work east. We'll meet somewhere in Texas.
Sounds good to me.
Hey guys, listen, it's been a lot of fun, but I got to drop off now. So good time talking about zombies, and I will try and stay away from Nick and John and their sweeps.
Before you go, what are you writing now? And hold on, before you go, Mike, what are you writing now, and how can listeners find you? And we'll link to all that in the show notes.
Okay, yeah. So you can find all my books and anthologies that I have on the Amazon website. Just look for me, Michael Morton. I just finished writing a book for Chris Kennedy's Force Horseman universe. Should be out, I think, December timeframe if it sticks to the schedule. And then I'm working on Three Ravens Publishing. My next book is going to be in the Car Wars Burning Roads series that he's writing.
Outstanding. Thank you for coming on, and be safe and avoid the warlords.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Stabby, where are you gonna go? Assuming you don't just trail after Nick.
No. So we actually had this conversation. We were picking up Nick's daughters. All of us, the whole fam bam, was in the car, and we're like, okay, so what's the plan if there was a zombie apocalypse? Keep in mind, this is a 3-hour drive. Our oldest said she's going to Bass Pro Shop to get all of our hunting and camping supplies. I'm like, right on.
Solid.
Our middle says, I'm going to Costco. I'm going to get us a fuck ton of food, the big cans, and clothes, because you can get it all there.
You got to get a can opener. Everyone forgets the can openers.
I was like, cool. Nick's like, I'm going to work. I'm getting the war wagon. I'm getting the guns. I'm getting the horses. And I'm like, cool. I'm over here like, I'm going to CVS.
The meds.
Everybody looked at me and was like, why? I said, well, you're already getting weapons. You're already getting food. You're already getting camping supplies. I'm asthmatic. You both have periods. I'm getting all the tampons, all the pads, and I'm getting all of my asthma meds. I don't care about the pain pills. I don't need that shit. I ain't worried about it. I'm worried about being able to breathe. Because we gonna be running. So
we're on a timetable. Those who fall behind get left behind.
Everybody go get your and meet up. And then
this is where proper planning is important. If you are properly planned, you will have bought hard copies, not digital copies. You will have hard copies of like first aid, local flora and fauna, some canning, how to do it safely, because you can still can even if you don't have electricity. You can do that over a fire. Our ancestors did it before they had modern.
Covers a lot of that.
Yeah. Ranger handbook. I've got one of those. Like start getting your books that are going to teach you how to do what you don't know how already. Because before we took pharmaceuticals and put everything in pill form, it came from nature somewhere. So there are plants you can get to get the pain medicine, to get the antibiotic. Well, maybe not antibiotics, but a lot of it you could do with herbals.
Be able to smoke weed.
So here's the thing, is everybody sees these all over my house. I have about 6 of them. Nothing in this came in this. I've made them myself. They have.
Hold on, let me show.
Yeah.
Everybody sees them and they're like, oh, it's just a first aid kit. And I'm like, yeah, except I loaded this first aid kit myself. I took everything that comes in it out of it and I put my own stuff in it. Tampons are in there because they actually fit into bullet holes really well. I have rubbing alcohol. I have all different types of chapstick because they work for different things. I have inhaler in every single one of them. I have ibuprofen. I have Tylenol. I have Midol for the girls because they a little crazy. But all of my first aid kits, there's one in every room, and they are all made by myself. And then we have the zombie bag.
So you have a go bag. How many in the Garber household have their own go bag? Is it like a requirement for entry into the clan? The Garber clan?
One per.
Okay.
You notice how quickly I picked that up.
So Nick, how much tequila is in your go bag?
Whiskey.
That's classified.
So
that's like my spinach, like Popeye's spinach. If you want me to get real violent, tequila is the way to do that.
I mean, ammo's not a problem. That's totes.
So
I
know
2 or 3 of these first aid kits scattered around the house, and I've got like probably 2 or 3 different Kevlar vests as well. So I think we'll be okay for a little bit.
So that's a question.
Flotation devices.
So that's a good question that I didn't think about. I don't know. I know gunpowder back in the day had a shelf life before it became unstable. Does the modern gunpowder we use, would that start to break down after a certain point? How long are those bullets?
I think it's a long time.
As long as you keep it dry and in somewhat of an controlled environment, it will be fine. But if you go from, like, say, a cold to hot and then cold again, you're going to get water and condensation in it, and it's going to degrade the powder.
And I bought a
ammo stock in Iraq that was from Vietnam. Like
But they kept in controlled environments, pretty much in controlled environments.
Yeah, I do have some 8mm for one of my rifles that was World War I era, and about 1 out of 3 rounds will fire.
Damn.
Those odds, you ought to work for the government.
No. Oh, wait, I do.
So do you think so speaking of the government, I was actually just trying to be funny, but do you think the government like the larger governing bodies, be it city, state, or federal, do you think all of that breaks down in a zombie apocalypse, or do you think we hold it on for a little bit?
It depends on where you're at and how organized they get, how quickly. I think at a large scale, it breaks down real fast.
The infrastructure will get used up really fast. And I'm sorry, these are still human beings in law enforcement and fire and all that. Eventually, they're going to abandon what they're doing to go help their own.
Is this your zombie operator?
Yeah, it's a zombie operator.
Yeah. The other factor is a lot of our major government, I guess, installations or points of power are in major metropolitan areas, and those are going to get whacked quick.
I always say,
by the time you realize somebody got in who was bit, infected, dosed, whatever, it's too late to do anything about it. You're all inside the fence now. So small towns may actually do better.
It's one reason why I moved out of the city and living in the middle of nowhere is because in any type of breakdown, cities are going to be death traps, be it from a zombie apocalypse, be it from breakdown of social order or law enforcement, rioting or whatever. You have no way of getting out because everybody's going to try to escape. You're going to clog the roads and all that. So you move out of the city into the country. You're going to have, one, you're going to trust your neighbor more so than, say, if you live in a city. 2, you're going to have farms and easier ways to garden, and you're not going to have as high of a population density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most countries, towns are a high trust society, whereas most cities are a very low trust society.
I suspect what we saw during Hurricane Katrina, where all the different gangs and wannabe thugs and redneck mafia, whoever, insert bad guy group here, the way they tried to seize assets to establish dominance, I think that's pretty representative of what we'd see. And what that really comes down to is whichever warlord leader wannabe is the smartest with the best gear, the fastest with the mostest, as they say back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. The question being, you're okay, Katrina, New Orleans. What happens when that guy who's fastest with the mostest finds out one of his close counselors got bit?
Oh, off with his head. So that would be a glorious thing for all the wannabe weebs and anime fans who have all those katanas that they don't really know what to do with, they could finally start using them and go after zombies.
I have a
I've got some in
katana
the
and I
corner.
do know what I'm doing with it.
Try to make you something.
What'd you say, John?
Back tonight.
I've got
That
some in
was
the
the-
corner.
that was the last one.
Oh, katanas?
Yeah.
Well, you probably know what to do with it, and there's a lot of people that own them that don't.
Why?
I think
So-
they really touch base on how quickly it can get close to home at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead. Actually, she comes home from work, she made it through all of that craziness at the hospital, gets home, goes to sleep with her husband. Next thing she knows, the neighbor girl's in her house, the neighbor girl bites her husband, now her husband's trying to bite her. Like,
Yeah.
just that quickly. And she's still trying to talk to him like, babe, it's me. And there's no stopping him. It's just time to go. So.
Yeah, that'd be hard, though, to turn on your loved ones because, I mean, it's hard to decide, oh, they're not there anymore, you know? Like, I
Oh,
could
yeah,
see that.
They're
and-
trying to eat your throat out. I mean,
They're trying to kill you, but there's that part in your head where it's like, that's my spouse, that's my kid, that's my whoever. Everybody
they're
who
gone.
survives the first week is going to be PTSD'd out of their minds for a while.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, like, it's not so much that you couldn't get there and realize that, okay, this isn't my wife, this isn't my husband, this isn't my insert whatever, but like the lag time to get there could be the end of you.
mhm.
And that's the rub.
Yeah, well, you're going to lose. You're going to have a lot of die off because of that. Is like they just couldn't do that because it's a family member.
Or they didn't want to.
I won't kill you, but I'll take
Yeah.
your lower jaw.
What
So you
did
can't
you
bite
do?
me.
Would that actually work, do you think? Well, I guess it
Worked in
depends on how the
Walking Dead.
infection is spread.
Well, Michonne did it in Walking Dead, but I don't recommend trusting it.
No.
Get bunker gear.
Sorry, honey.
What is
Get
Well,
firefighting turnout gear.
So we've been at it for about an hour and 15, and we've been trying to do better on time. So we're definitely going to have to come back and revisit with a more narrow focus on all things zombies. And since John is writing zombies, we'll definitely have to bring you back because zombies are cool. So why not?
They are.
In the rest of the panel. So if you've got questions for us, dear listener, when we give all the socials, you can reach out in the comments for this episode and weigh in on what you want more of. Because, I mean, horror season doesn't have to end because October does. Halloween is all year round for the Garber family.
Oh yeah.
Every night we fall asleep to horror films, which studies have shown that we're psychopaths, but whatever.
I mean, it explains a lot having met you, but whatever. All right, so Sparks, what do you work? Oh, you already no, you haven't. What are you working on right now? Before we wrap this up,
I'm working on a novella for Canon Publishing's military sci-fi competition for new authors.
weren't you the one who was going to do King Arthur meets zombies? Was that you?
Yeah, that's I was gonna do King Arthur Zombie Killer or Zombie Slayer and his Knights of the Holy Round Table. Gonna do it like I was thinking of doing it around like a G.I. Joe-esque or maybe even an XCOM-esque style of story. Maybe throwing in a little bit of like the what was it? The Kingsman.
Yeah.
But it's just an idea that I've got right now.
Okay. All righty. What about you, Keith? What are you working? Oh, well, first off, Paul, how can listeners find you? And we'll link in the show notes.
I have an Amazon author page. I have an author page on Facebook. And I do have Twitter and I have Instagram, but I'm not on it very much. And I'm still trying to get my social media together because this is all new to me.
Outstanding. All right, Keith, what are you working on and how can listeners find you?
I'm currently working on a rough draft of a cyberpunk gunslinger romance story titled Date Night, and I'm doing edits on a cyberpunk action story where Bad Karma goes back to Chicago. And you can reach me at keithhedger.com. Easiest place to find me.
John, what are you working on right now besides the Angel Zombie masterpiece that I want to read?
Well, local con at one of the shops coming up soon. So I've been working on like blank sketch covers, and I have index cards size cardstock I'm going to draw on to try to sell at the con. This is some of the kind of work you could see on there.
Oh, nice.
I dig it.
Zombies.
Dig it.
And just to show there's different variety of stuff that we were talking about, variety of zombies doing stuff like this. I have a whole stack of blank sketch covers, and I'm not allowed to get any more until I sell the ones I've got. So I came up with the idea of drawing zombies on there and sketch covers and stuff like that. And if I have any copies of the book in time, I'm going to sell those as well.
Hey, John, save that zombie Vader for me. I'm going to put it in the Star Wars room. I'll hit you up offline.
Okay.
You got to save.
All right. And speaking of hitting us up offline, if you're listening to this as late as we're recording this, you are definitely going to want some pick-me-up. So our affiliate sponsorship would like to... All right, thank you for sticking with us through that last commercial. We just wanted to show you some of the goodness that is out there. Stabby, I understand you made that commercial, so well done. And you just tried their blueberry cobbler, which is one of their mainstays. Tell me how it was.
I drank the whole pot. I drank the whole pot. And
So
there was no whipped cream involved. And I just had half and half instead of one of my many flavored creamers. Like, it was perfection.
Oh, we're talking about coffee.
Oh my god, I drank the whole pot.
Of course, the commercial has a Ouija board in it.
Oh, did you see the one with the pumpkin in it?
The what?
The pumpkin.
I focused on the Ouija board.
So Garber, does the Garber clan give it 4 or 5, or how many stars are we giving it?
10.
Stabby gives it a 10. I give it an 8.5 on the bourbon. I might have to try her blueberry cobbler. I don't know. I usually don't. I like coffee flavored coffee, but I'll give it a go.
Out freaking standing. All right, and if you were curious, coffee flavored coffee. It's the modern world, sir. You have to specify. All right.
Oh, I know.
Take your
all right. With that being said, before we let you go, dear listener, I'd like to remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right reader find the right book, so do your part. And since I am not as aware on the comic book world, Nick and John, where do they review comics? Obviously, Amazon and all the places, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads for books. But where do you go to review comics?
I've had a couple people do mine, or a couple of my books, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is it as big a deal in the comic book industry for the reviews like it is for books?
Yeah.
I think it helps more indie guys like Nick and I. It not necessarily validates us, makes us look more legitimate, because we can say all day long, oh, this book is awesome, you should read it. But yet when other people spend their hard-earned cash and they read it and they give you an honest review, I think that makes us look more legitimate as creators.
I got one review from Chuck Dixon, creator of Bane.
Yep.
Nice.
That helped sales quite a bit. He was using me for a while as a like his military guy when he was writing stuff. It's like, hey, I'm doing this story about time traveling rangers, and I'm like, go on. He's like, yeah. So like, talk to me through this type of situation. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're gonna have to water it down a bit because they would just wreak havoc on everything. I think they were going back in time to like ancient Rome, and they encounter a legion.
That's
ruin
it is not the right word.
That's actually something we could do for another episode on zombies, is historic zombies, like, certain places, like, I don't know, medieval or Roman zombie stories. That might be interesting take on it, because you don't have gunpowder. You got to get up close and personal.
Yeah, you got to be slashing stuff.
All right, so we got a new episode in the works. We're going to have to write that down. You can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChute, the Rumbles, the Twitters, the Stabby Stab links. You can email us at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Our Facebook goodness is all over on the Linktree, so click the link and join the conversation. Or you can follow us on our website, or you can also comment and engage with us, which is anchor.fm/blasters-and-blades. Again, anchor.fm/blasters-and-blades, where for as little as 99 cents a month, you can support the show and help keep the lights on. And we can keep Stabby Stab duly caffeinated. She will drink the blueberry coffee till her head pops. And Nick is looking for wife number 12 because she's just like all over the place in many parts. I've seen the girl where, she drank too much of the blueberry on Willy Wonka, and like, I know how this ends. All right. I'm just saying. Or you could support the show more directly on buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that it is for the podcast. And I promise I will get Madam Stabby in her own 12-step caffeinated Java program, because I think she's crossing over to the dark side. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little worried.
You got
better
better
chance getting a wet spaghetti noodle up a podcast ass.
I've never heard that one before. All right, thank you for spending some of.
It's a public service to keep me properly caffeinated, so I can only imagine what she'd be like.
Yeah, step away from the coffee, Stabby. Step away, so I can bring this home. Thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For our crazy co-host, emphasis on the crazy today, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom, and we will try not to get stabbed by Madam Stabby Stab. Thank you for coming on, John. Thank you, Keith, and the absentee Paul Sparks and Michael Morton. And